I'm sorry, we're being live streamed, so I want to present this Community Hero Award. We presented two last month, and this recipient was not here, so I would like to present it right now. This is the Saturday Menudo Club Community Hero Award, and it reads, for exemplary service, sacrifice, and leadership to our community, in recognition for your support of the Saturday Menudo Club, and for sharing your insights and concerns for the needs of the city regarding crime, the economy, family, homelessness, career opportunities, cultural events, and personal responsibility for citizens to engage in their own area of influence. I'd like to present this final 2023 Saturday Menudo Club Community Hero Award to United States Marine Corps Sergeant Major, retired, and Mrs. Leonel Villafranco.
He's not here.
Well, this is for both of y'all.
Excepting for Sergeant Major.
Hold on.
Thank you all very much, and it was a pleasure to host Irma at my house during the time that she was here. Thank you all very much for what everybody's doing, and I hope that you can grow and grow and grow. Thank you.
Yay. Pan de dulce in Spanish, okay? We've heard some very important things today, and I know personally it makes me very happy because you hear politicians say this all the time, of course. I'm running a grassroots effort, and I'm going to tell you that this is grassroots. Of course, the Saturday Menudo Club, we're not running for any office, but this is grassroots. When you plant the seed in the community, the word gets around. And I will tell you one of the things that, again, just really haunts me about the GOP here personally is that, unfortunately, our party has a history, and this goes back to when I was Harris County Chairman. Our party has this terrible history that the most important thing is, when you have an event or you're running a candidate, that the most important thing is how many people you pack into the room that have money. That's the number one objective. Who are my millionaires? Who are my big corporation owners? That is what the GOP has centered on. Unfortunately, what we haven't learned to this day is that the Democrats just cared about bodies. Poor people, homeless people, non-residents, dead people. We have not learned that lesson. The fundraisers that I have attended during this season and last year for Republican candidates are still focused on the same thing. The people with money. That has to change, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm going to tell you, I think I may be wrong, but I don't think any of us in here are millionaires, but we're getting things done in the Hispanic community. And that is one thing that our party here has just really failed on. And I can't repeat it enough that the Hispanic community is the number one. Well, I mean, we have taken over Harris County, period, Hispanics. Of course, a lot of them do not vote. The majority do not vote. But what does that mean? That means that you have the majority of Harris County out there that's not voting. The person that gets Hispanics, or the party that gets Hispanics, they're the ones that are going to run everything from now on. The GOP still has the opportunity to do that, but they choose not to. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because like I said, they want money people, not Hispanics. That has to change. And in closing, I want to read this to you, that this message that was sent out, like I said, from Cindy, because listen to these words. Just listen to these words, because this is our party here speaking. It says, the Harris County Republican Party's mission to advance the conservative movement is paramount. We've made great strides in electing Republicans across Harris County, flipping school boards, city council seats, and more. We've accomplished this by going into communities previously underserved by the Republican Party, increasing voter contact, and more. In closing, I just want to tell you that the Menudo Club, which I'm very proud of, and I'm sure Andy and Carmen is extremely proud of our efforts, now knowing that we're going to be expanding into Victoria. We have been in existence for a little over 2 years. And we have not gotten a call from the GOP or anybody in the GOP asking if they can come here and hand out paraphernalia or send guests or whatever.
I invited them twice.
Yes. Okay. So you may wonder, why am I in this? Is Carmen in this? Is Andy in this? Because deep down inside, I know that when it comes to the United States of America, I am now with the majority as a Hispanic. And I know that one day we are going to be the top, and we are going to have whatever we want. People are waking up to this. And I want to tell you one thing, right now I can, ever since Joe Biden was declared feeble and old, which I know should have made me very happy, okay? But I'm going to tell you, I haven't been able to sleep since that happened. And you know why? Because my ancestors did not come here, 200 years ago or 250 years ago. My ancestors were on this continent long before, so to say, the settlers, the white men, the African Americans. And we don't have Hispanic vice president, Hispanic president yet. This week I was so disappointed with that news, because the only thing that's on my mind right now is that the party could declare Joe Biden unable to serve, and who's going to be president for the rest of his term? Kamala. That should make all Hispanics upset, okay? Because we are here, and our time has to be now, and we have to seize our time. So I leave you with those words. Please go out and tell everybody about the Menudo Club. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you in March.
He is a church organizer. He's caught up on an event right now, so he might not make it, Eddie. Just FYI for everybody who was waiting on his appearance. But I am going to cover a few things. Let me close this door because I'm going to be talking some information that I don't want to leave this room. Okay, I will censor it. For those of you that know me, I wear a lot of hats, which I have really become passionate about. I'm currently, if y'all could tell, I'm working for Bianca. She is a candidate out of District 128. She is challenging an incumbent who was a impeachment manager against Kim Paxton. So Bianca is just like all grassroots. She is a dedicated activist who really does care about her community, her county, her state, her country. So I am her campaign manager, and we are hitting it with all we have, guys. Just like I know many of y'all are. I see a lot of candidates that have either run in the past or are currently running, and I tip my hats off to y'all. Because as a campaign manager, I see how hard y'all work. And it is with total, genuine gratitude that I say, great job, y'all. Continue the fight. We need good grassroots patriots back into office. Which brings me to my next point. For those of y'all that don't know me beyond campaign manager, I started just like I have my mom and my dad doing now, election worker, about 6 years ago. And I have seen the importance of what our elections can result in and how they actually affect good, strong candidates that want to get into office. We have to have secure elections, y'all. I started as an election worker. I made my way into the Harris County Republican Party's office locally as a volunteer. After about a year working as a volunteer, I got recruited to be their deputy primary director. Then I worked my way up to the regional director for the state party of Texas. And let me tell you, I have seen the backstory of what our party should be and what our party really is. And it is with great anxiety that I relay this message. If we don't hold our people accountable to make sure that our elections are secure, being our party, being city or county organizers, being state organizers, we could run all the candidates, the best candidates out there, but without secure elections, y'all, they won't get into office. You know, I was in the middle of the debacle that happened a couple years ago where election workers, judges, just weren't placed by our party. And unfortunately, I was sounding the alarm. I was letting our leadership know that certain areas, certain locations would either not open because there was no workers, or there was going to be an inflow of voters to that location because of closed surrounding polling locations, and they would run out of material. I've seen the back end of the chaos, and I've seen it before it happened. And that's why I'm here everyone in here has a relationship with either y'all are an advocate, a candidate, an interested voter. Something brings you into this club. And my objective is to use y'all as that vessel to take this message out of here and relay it to people that y'all know. We have an urgent crisis. For those of you that don't know, there was a message sent out by our party a couple of days ago. We are missing election workers for our own locations. So there are 78 polling locations for the early voting period. So that's 78 judges. You multiply that, each judge carries 6 workers under them. So you're looking at, and I did my math, and if we have a math genius out there, please double check my numbers. But we are looking at 78 locations for early voting. We don't know how many of those are missing judges. We have 6 workers per location. That equals to 468 election clerk workers, which work under your judge. We don't know how many are missing from that number. We have a grand total of 546 that are supposed to be Republican workers in these polling locations. We don't know what the number is that's missing. The message that we got from our county leadership is we are in, and I will quote, emergency period for early voting. So I tell you, if the responsibility lies on our party and the sole objective goal for the GOP is to secure and make sure that our election period is covered with workers and we have candidates, what is going on with our party when we can't even supply workers? When we can't, the number one goal for the party is to secure our elections. When we cannot secure our elections, who is going to be held responsible? And when is it enough? Enough? When is it ya no más? Now, I tend to always ask questions because I like to be informed. And I like to inform people around me. And I love to get information that y'all have because I love for people to be informed, updated, and not left in the dark of what's going on. This is extremely important, y'all. I have a source within the elections department. I think it's called the elections clerks department. This was last week, early last week, Monday, and I was already told, your party has not cooperated to the point that as of last week, we were already in an emergency situation. Meaning that when we don't staff our own people within our party's elections, you know who's going to staff them? The Democrats will be there. And you know what happens when Democrats take over Republican positions? What happens if we run out of paper again? Do you think they will be on that phone immediately and saying, hey, Republican Party, you just ran out of paper. Hey, Republican Party, your machines aren't working. Send a tech out. Now, they might, I'm not saying they won't report it, but there might be a 2, 3, 4 hour delay. Who will be our person to oversee that everything works perfectly like it should? There will be no advocate there. So I ask y'all, I urge y'all, hold your party responsible. Hold your leadership responsible. And this would go for anybody that's in leadership. Always ask questions. Always find out what the real answers are. Why were we not able to staff these locations? Is it a lack of trying? Is it a lack of workers? What is the real issue? But until we ask those hard questions, things like this will continue to happen. If we can't staff 78 polling locations, do you think we're going to be able to staff 980 in November, excuse me? Those are just 900 plus locations. That doesn't cover the 6 workers that go with it. If we can't staff 78, well, we'll be able to staff 900 plus. These are serious issues that our party needs to answer to. And this just doesn't affect an election. It affects the outcome of the election. It affects how a voter can actually vote. It affects how our candidates can actually properly be represented and be voted on. That being said, the message that I want to leave y'all is, I know everyone in here. I know, Carrie, you've been a judge before. Andrew, you've been a candidate. Mark, you're currently a candidate. We all, Sonia, you've been a candidate. Mario, you're very active. I know Eddie's sisters back there and friends and family. Everyone has taken a part in some way, shape, or form. James, his wife. I mean, we are all here as leaders to our communities. Inform them. Let them know there's so much work out there, but until we start to hold people accountable, there will be no changes. So I leave you with that message. Be that advocate. Go out there. Be that leader. Inform. And these numbers, these are accurate numbers as of 2 days ago. It's pretty scary when we can't staff 78 and we have a looming 900 plus in November. So.
I want to add something. There's absolutely a vacancy of poll watchers. You're not even getting to the poll watchers yet.
Yeah.
There are, I don't know if that's asking for any.
Well, when I worked in the office 2 years ago, I created a list of over 750 poll watchers. It was in a database that I left the party. So that list contained people who were willing to be a poll watcher, willing to travel with no pay and work. What happened to that list? There was only 50 that were contacted by the party during the 2022 election. I would ask questions. I know that list was left in a database for them to use.
They just don't have power anymore, that's why they're not working there.
And it's unfortunate. The resources are there. It's just having leadership take responsibility to do it. You know, the meaning of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. The team that was there before me in 2022 for the primary election could not staff 78 locations. I think they staffed 50. So that left over 20 positions open for the Democrats to run for us. When I took over in 2022, my team and I staffed 380. Every single judge and every single clerk's position was occupied. The same for the general election. What I mean by insanity is that same team that was there before me that couldn't staff 70 plus locations is back again. And this is a result. And that's why I emphasize we have to hold our party accountable. We have to hold our leadership accountable. You can't continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. So I leave you with that. If anybody wants some homework, your homework is call and ask your party chair why this has continued to happen over and over again. It's not fair to our voters, it's not fair to our candidates, and it's not fair for the integrity of our election. Thank y'all.
That's one of our favorite speakers here. And any of you that are involved in other organizations, I highly recommend that you get his contact information and have him over to your organizations to speak, because he's a wealth of knowledge, and he definitely is someone that cares about each and every one of us. He brought up a couple of points that are very dear to my heart, Mario, when you were talking about mental health issues. There are two issues that come to mind real quick for me. Number one of our Menudo Club supporters, Mr. Scott Rice, who many of you have met through me. He is an advocate for children's safety in schools. His wife, Flo, who is also a Menudo Club member, she was shot 10 times in Santa Fe at the mass shootings, and she survived. And many of you saw or have seen in the news the day before yesterday that they have filed a lawsuit against the parents of the shooter in Santa Fe. So I encourage all of you to get behind that issue, because I have advocated for so long that it's not the gun, it's the parenting. And I think that once you start getting the message to the parents that they will go to jail, I think a lot of things are going to start changing. And it really is amazing that last night I was fumbling around doing some research, and I just happened to see a new documentary on mass shootings. And it surprised me because the mother of Klebold, who was one of the shooters in Colorado, was actually played a big part in this documentary. And I'm just going to tell you that I was absolutely amazed. I was amazed by seeing this woman talk about her son shooting, you know, his fellow students and getting access to the gun. I could tell, even all these years later, by just hearing her talk, that she was a very disinterested parent, because there was absolutely no sympathy even for her own dead son. And I think it's called Mass Shootings in America. It was on Tubi, but I encourage all of you to watch it just to see her from a parent's point of view. And I think you'll understand it was a very cold woman. And again, it goes back to the parenting. Another thing, when you talk about mental issues, which is something that I am really focusing on in 2024 through the organization that I'm vice president of, which is SNAP, which is the Survivors Network of People Abused by Priests. I've already had several meetings with congressmen and senators, because one issue that we're all missing and you all need to be calling your local representatives about is the fact that the children that were brought across the border here and have been dispersed, and that we're not tracking them. SNAP, my organization, is the oldest sexual abuse organization in the United States. We've been in existence we're going on our 36th year. It is a fact for any of you that deal with sexual abuse that people will tell you that any children that suffer trauma are more likely to grow up and become drug addicts, alcoholics, commit suicide, and just become bad members of society because of their abuse. So I want you to think about this. We have little 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds that were brought across the border that had to make trips from their countries for thousands of miles, most of them without their family, with strangers. They were molested, they were raped. That's beside the point. Maybe they weren't molested, but when you're taken away from your family at 4 years old with strangers and you make a 4,000-mile trip, it is traumatic. And it's something that will stick with them for the rest of their lives. How our politicians have allowed this to happen without tracking them. Because I can tell you right now that in 9 or 10 years from now, we're going to find them when they start committing crimes, when they become alcoholics, when they become drug addicts or selling drugs. We're going to find them, but it will be too late. So that is something that we can do now, and I'm pushing our politicians. You can't let these children just come in and escape without monitoring them. Of course, the first thing people will say is that it's too expensive to monitor. Well, that's fine. If they're letting them in, then they need to cover the cost, period. If it's too expensive, then don't let them in. Okay, but remember that, because that is going to be a very big toll on all of these illegals that are coming in. And this is something in the future, okay, that we need to stop now. I would like to welcome now our fact checker for the Menudo Club, which you heard checking facts earlier and asking the good questions, but my co-host, Ms. Carmen Cavazos.
I'm the president of the Harris County Belvines Association. He's right when he talks about narratives. Our industry got attacked in 2017 as I was just a little lowly bondsman doing my job, and we got attacked, and I became president. Obviously, I got a job that nobody wanted, right? And I had a big mouth, little stature, but big mouth, right? So in 2017, this narrative got put out there that bail was unconstitutional. People were being held in jail, and because they were poor, and because they were black, or because they were Latino. And then, I started kind of, and again, I'm a bondsman, so what do I know? I have my pulse on crime every day. And I've been in the criminal justice system in some form or another for 30 years. And what you learn is that, like raising children, right? You hold them accountable. You don't let them just kind of, and that's what this got dressed up under. And it kind of I started to fight back, being that I'm Latino, and I'm going, wait a minute, before you start going down that road with race, let's be real careful about what you're going to set people up for in 10 years when they're not better. Because reform, to me, the word reform invokes good change, right? You reform them, they become better. Look at what we got now, 5-6 years later. See, you've woken up to the fact that there's people that now recommit crime. They're out on 8 bonds, 9 bonds. We didn't used to see that. Republican judges, and mind you, I'm in the middle. I was raised Democrat, but as a bail bondsman, seeing where the Democratic Party was coming from, I'm going, hold on a second, now you're teaching victimization. Now you're selling it to say it's no fault of my own. Why should we have to pay for the things that other people are being believed to believe, are being taught to believe that they can go steal? A bag of chips, a case of beer. That's a breakdown. And sometimes the ugly question is, because again, and I don't mean this as an insult, but what's happened with the GOP and what seems to happen sometimes is that there's this white guilt that goes on about, you've oppressed all of us and therefore shut your mouth. Because if you speak up, you're a racist. Well, I'm the kryptonite to that bail reform garbage, because it doesn't work on me. I grew up poor. I don't have this pedigree, I had no family name. I worked hard, merit-based, not race-based. I got where I got because I worked hard and I didn't use my race as a way to get out of working. But that's what we got, and that's trickled down all the way into the criminal justice system. And look at the judges that got elected. I sit in bail bond hearings where they bring the defendant out. This guy's got a long record, and the first question the judge will ask you is, how much money can they afford to post bail? And I'm like, that's really not the question. It should be, let me look at what the person's done, what they're accused of now, criminal history, and then set bail. See, this all got dressed up under things like unconstitutionality, which, again, going back to the narrative, that's not true. Every appellate court has ruled that defendants do not have a right to be free from a wealth-based detention. What that means is they don't have a right to affordable bail. They just have a right to a 48-hour hearing to tell the judge, hey, I'm poor, don't have any money, and the judge is to weigh that and set bail. So all this constitutionality and I'm presumed innocent, and you are, even when you're on bail. The presumption of innocence never left. It's still there. You're just out on bond. But there also has to be a public safety component, which got totally thrown out. Because now look at where we're at. We're like number 3 for murder in the U.S. behind Chicago and L.A. County. So what I'm bringing to your attention is the narrative of how this made people feel bad. Oh, it's only for low-level offenders, nonviolent. Well, you do know that the term or the definition of nonviolent is being redefined. For instance, I hit you in the head with a hammer, and they want to call that nonviolent, but I still got a hole in my head. Right? So, they're stealing. That's nonviolent. Right, but doesn't it make you mad that I have to go in and pay for that product? Nonviolent, no car insurance. Yeah, tell that to the guy that gets in an accident with somebody with no insurance. And your policy has to cover it. Again, no accountability. And this is why we are here. That race where they ran out of paper, that's because Democrats were scared. When you block walk and you talk to people, even people that live in poor neighborhoods, are like, I'm afraid. Because public safety is a nonpartisan issue anyway. That's the only good thing about public safety, is that I don't have to fight with a Republican or a Democrat to know, hey, I just want you to be safe. That's the only good thing about that issue, is that I don't have to really. Now people are waking up to it, so they're a lot more easy to convince than they were 5 years ago. You're a bondsman. All you care about is the money you're making. But I have my pulse on crime. Because if I'm wrong, I risk assess, basically. That's what I do. I look at somebody, and if they're poor, I still will help them. Because I understand that there's hardworking people that make mistakes. DWIs, domestic violence, but there has to be a component to get them back to court. The people they're letting out for free have an 82% failure to appear rate. So you know why you're seeing all the high-speed chases? Because those are all fugitives already wanted for something, because they didn't go to court. That's why you see that uptick. But I'm just here to connect dots. So that, like he explained, it's a narrative that got sold under this whole, we're going to help people. Mental health. Let me tell you something about mental health. Ignorance is not a mental health issue. If you're stupid, don't hide behind mental health. But we have to know the difference. Well, they just had a mental health breakdown. No, they're stupid. Look at their record. I'm all for helping people, but let's not confuse it. Let's not twist it up. It's like raising children. I don't know how many, I go through that with my daughter. This self-entitled, you don't understand my problems, Dad. Hold on a second. You got to kind of say, hey, wait a minute. And that's what you got to do with people who commit crimes. I used to be able to get through to them as a bondsman. They sit in my office. I'd say, hey, look, come on, man. I mean, I'm not the priest. I'm not God. I'm not your mother. Just look me right in the eye. Did you do what they said you? Well, yeah, I did. Okay, good. Now you own it. Now we can move on from this. But they got this mentality now where it's like when bondsmen are not involved, the courts are not monitoring them. Those ankle monitors are a joke. But you know why they did that? Because they tried to get rid of us. They said, we won't need you, bondsmen. We'll just put them on monitors. Yeah, but the common sense part of that was, you guys clock out and go home at 5 o'clock. Who's monitoring them after hours? Oh, well, I didn't charge it. I forgot. Everything in the book is like, and because you can't do it better than private industry. So that's the narrative. And this guy, Sean Tier, he's a total leftist, going to let everybody out. I mean, look at who's endorsing him. Those are the people that started with the O'Donnell case. And that has been ruled that by the federal courts, it shouldn't have been filed in Harris County. It shouldn't. So now we're trying to get rid of that. But that's how they dressed it up under, we'll let everybody out for free because the federal court told me I could. That's really not what the federal court said, especially the Fifth Circuit. But anyway, point is narratives. I'm not here to lie to you. I'm not here to just look at where crime is. And, now people are listening because it trickled into, affluent neighborhoods, right? People who own businesses in the Heights are like, hey, man, my business has been broken into 3 times. The patrons that go to their businesses, their cars are broken into. That's a non-violent crime. Yeah, but how many guns are stolen out of cars? And then you get the mayor with his gun buyback program. It's like, guy, you are fencing stolen weapons. You're a fencing operation. I'll just go steal a bunch of guns and wait for him to come out with another gun buyback program, no questions asked, and give him back all the guns. And get a nifty little gift card, right? Maybe go buy another gun. I don't know. Felon in possession of a weapon. Those cases, So while Democrats talk about gun violence, they're complicit in contributing to gun violence when they don't prosecute felon in possession of a weapon. And why you have violent people in the jail is because people who should have already gone to prison are steadily getting cases dismissed because of the backlog and the recycling back through the process. That's why they're violent. Because they should have already gone to prison, TDC. But because you get 5 cases, the DA will dismiss 3 and stick you with the 2. She's between a rock and a hard place. Because you have a backlog. We had 30,000 criminal cases in 2019. We had 140,000 now, or roughly in that area. So it's ballooned. But narratives. Stay in the middle. Use your common sense. It's like I said, this is no different than basic raising children. You hold your kids accountable. Some people don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. You see the mamas on TV crying about why'd they shoot my baby. Well, why was your baby stealing beer? Why'd he steal a bag of chips or whatever? That doesn't help the minority community. When you have, I remember when activists used to go into schools and tell people how to stay out of gangs. Mind your teachers. I'm not saying that there isn't some racism that goes on, but be careful when you send out a message that everything that's going on in your life is not your fault. That's a dangerous thing and a message to send to young adults that are coming up. Because once you let that genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back. So narratives, pay attention to narratives. Many of you have common sense, I'm sure. You know it's not right. You know, I don't want anybody to be dead in this room. I don't care what race, what religion, what party you're from. I don't want to see that. And that's unfortunately where we're at. People don't care about crime until it lands on their doorstep. I go to Crime Stoppers meetings, parents of murdered children. That room got bigger in 3 years. You know, and they're angry, and I get it. And sometimes they would lash out at me. And I'd say what's unfortunate is that you didn't care about crime until it landed on you. I don't have anybody that's been murdered, but I'm trying to stay ahead of that curve to warn people, because I don't want you to be a victim. I don't want that. And that's just where I'm at, coming from my heart, that I care about people, even criminals who I think you can get to them, but some you can't, and that's just part of the criminal justice. And there are people that are incorrigible. You can't help them. You have to put them away because they're eventually going to kill or hurt somebody. So, you know, Eduardo always gives me the opportunity to talk. I always take it. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Before I present our next speaker, and we're still waiting on our keynote person here, so I'm just making a little time. I just want to say that it's really amazing when we have days like this with the weather that we were supposed to be having right now, which is not happening. But it goes to show the power of the media and what the media can do and how the media can mislead us all. Because last night I started getting little texts about people that were not going to be coming out today because of what the weathermen were telling them. And it really is amazing. That's a perfect example of what the media does and how they can lead you. Of course, this is not, the weathermen are not political in any way, but I'm just telling you, it's amazing how many people get affected and we never come back. I'm at the point where now when the weather's supposed to be really bad, I know the sun is going to shine. And when they say there's not going to be a cloud in the sky, I know it's going to pour. Okay? But the amazing thing is, you know, growing up and living all the years that I have lived, there was a time, I want you to know, when the weathermen actually apologized. And I remember those days of Sid Lasher when they would tell you that we're going to get a tropical storm and it wouldn't come, and then he'd go on there, or they would come up and they would actually apologize. We're sorry for telling all of y'all that yesterday was going to be a flood day and it didn't happen. Well, they don't even apologize to us anymore. They just say their thing, they ruin a lot of stuff, and then they go on their way. And then it's like, watch Channel 13 because we're the first ones there. We're the best. Watch Channel 11, watch Channel 2 because we have the best Doppler radars. And saying that, I want to also emphasize to you some of the things that are going on that you really need to pay attention to, because our own leadership is definitely not talking about misleading. There's an ad going on right now that you're seeing every commercial break, and there are statements being made like one of these ads says, you know, I'm here because our rights are being threatened. Your right to be able to prosper and do it the right way. Who is threatening that? And why is our GOP not calling these statements out? If you look at the Shantir ad, where they specifically say Republican attorneys, okay, subliminally, what these people are saying is, do not hire a Republican attorney. Where is our GOP to speak out against these things? Because you have to understand that for everyone sitting here today that wants knowledge and wants to understand what is going on, there are 100 people at home watching these commercials that unfortunately are not getting educated at all, but they hear this and they believe it. And the message they take away is, do not hire a Republican lawyer. Now they're going to be asking you, if you're an attorney, are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? Okay? Why does our GOP stand for this? I'll tell you one of the reasons. I was at an event a few days ago for Jared Woodfield with the Ken Paxton, the State Attorney General, and someone said to me that evening, Eduardo, oh my gosh, everybody knew you. You knew almost everybody there. And I told this lady, I said, well, yes, because when I was chairman of the RNHA many years ago, the same people were there. And that's the whole problem. That is the whole problem. You know, I just got a note yesterday from the Harris County GOP, Cindy Siegel. I'm sure many of you did, because I'm sure it was just sent out to all of us. But, you know, it says about how the party has transformed Harris County, and that we have all these Republican city council members now, and we have I looked at that and I said, wait a minute, is she getting like Joe Biden? Because we don't have that here in Harris County. Under their leadership, we do not have that. Okay? Julian Ramirez had worked very hard to get on city council. Okay? City council is not full of Republicans. So please, please, we have to change, but we have to change starting at the top, because it is not getting done. And I also want you to know that as part of that, I brought some memorabilia today, which is a board that we used to display when I was the chairman, Harris County, of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. So we would take pictures and put all kinds of things. Now it's becoming an antique, but it just shows you the many candidates that we would push for. As a matter of fact, I want to tell you a story that I'm very proud of, but our ex-Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman, who is a very dear friend of my family's and myself, I remember years ago at the RNHA when I forgot which Supreme Court Justice had just been appointed to our highest court, but right after she got appointed, Ava was addressing the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, and when I introduced her, I said, you know, I'm sure this is going to be one of our next Supreme Court justices. It needs to be one of our Supreme Court justices. And of course, about a year and a half later, she runs for the Texas Supreme Court and she wins. So it amazes me. I encourage all of that spirit that people have, like Andrew, because yes, follow those dreams. And speaking of the future of Harris County, I'd like to present someone to you right now that is one of our favorite speakers here. I'm sure you're going to be very impressed, James, with this. But one of my favorite speakers and a good friend, Mr. Mario Garza. He is the president of the Bail Bond Association for Harris County.
All right. Thank you all. Good afternoon. Good to see everybody here today. Really appreciate Eduardo giving me this opportunity to kind of address y'all real quick. My name is Mark Galloway. I'm running for the brand new Harris County positions, all right, for the Board of Directors. When you voted for the $100,000 homestead exemption, right in there were these three brand new Board of Director positions that will be elected. This is the first time, right, the taxpayers have representation on the Board of Directors of our appraisal district. They've all been appointed. They've been appointed by the cities, the counties, the school districts, all of the tax takers. So now we're going to actually have elected taxpayers on the board. What will be one of the functions? What will be one of the ways I'll serve, okay, in that capacity? Well, one is to overlook the efficiency, right, of how the appraisal district is actually run. What kind of expenses do they have? How do they spend their money? Where do they spend their money, right? And that's our money, and how are they spending it? But to me, as you know, one of the things that I've always said is someone should lobby for the Texas taxpayer. So in this position, right, I feel very, very confident of being able to go through there and start looking looking at some of these appraisal issues in our property tax system overall. Just last week, no, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, right? The Housing Authority, Houston Housing Authority exempted 14 apartment complexes, taken off the tax rolls. Well, you know, have you ever been to the restaurant and they bring you the bill and it's $250 and 2 people decide they can't pay? So the other 3 people have to pick up the bill. That's what is happening. That's what is happening to our bills. Why is our bill going up? Because these groups are coming in and getting their properties taken off the rolls for whatever variety of reasons. I went through, as you may recall, I went through and fought back on Chapter 313 of the Texas Tax Code. This, again, was where you and I were paying, all right, property taxes for corporations, for windmills, for things all across the state. We were paying their property taxes. We fought it. The grassroots fought it. The taxpayers fought it. We beat it back. In 2021, right, we had all these legislators running around telling us, we got rid of Chapter 313, we got rid of it, we got rid of it. You know what they did in 2023? They turned around and brought another corporate welfare program back called Chapter 403. We are not going to let them get away with this, all right? I fought Chapter 313 back, and I'm not going to sit there and let them do Chapter 403. If whatever you do with my position and however you vote for my position, obviously I want you to vote for me, but tell your representatives that are running, the candidates, your senator candidates, right? Anybody, and you tell them how, all right? How are you going to repeal it? I don't know what, I don't know when, I don't know why, I want to know how. How are you going to repeal Chapter 403? That has to end in 2025. And the only way it's going to end, right, is if the grassroots rises up and forces it. They will not do it. Chapter 313 existed for 20 years, okay? So we're not going to sit around and wait 20 years. We're going to get rid of this in 2 years. We're going to make it go away. You can't go through there and say, oh, Chapter 313, oh, okay, yeah, we took it away. Here's Chapter 403. No, 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 right? Our eyes are open. We see what's going on, and we're not going to allow this to happen. So those are the things that I want to be able to use this position for. Not only the oversight of the efficiency with which the appraisal board is actually run, okay, but also our appraisal system in general, all right? Our whole property tax, we all know our property tax system is a shambles. Our legislators know it's a shambles. But who do they fix it for? Do they fix it for the homeowners? Do they fix it for the small business people? No. They go through there and they exempt whoever they want, whoever comes in. Those kind of things have to stop. If we go through there and take, again, if we take that restaurant bill, right, and divide it among 10 people, it's only $25, right? When you divide it among 3 people, it becomes $80. So vote for me, Mark Gullaby. My website is goodgovernance.today. .today really works. www.goodgovernance.today. Please look over the issues that I encounter there. But again, my job, somebody should lobby for the Texas taxpayer, and I want this opportunity to lobby for the from the Harris County Board of Directors positions. So any questions or anything?
Mark, is your race countywide or specific to your region?
It is a countywide race. Thank you for that question, by the way. It's a countywide race, and as far as I know, all right, it is the only nonpartisan countywide race out there. So I don't have a problem talking to the Republicans, to the Democrats, to the Independents. This is a nonpartisan countywide race, and I plan on going to everybody and saying, we all need, right? I lobby for the Texas taxpayer, right? There's Democrat Texas taxpayers, Republican Texas taxpayers, Independent taxpayers, okay? The only other people that are on the list are some of these people who get themselves exempted. So we're going to find out who they are and say, hey, come on back to the table, come back to the table, and let's share this bill, and let's lower the taxes for everybody.
Are there other conservatives?
I'm not sure. These are brand new positions. We register this coming Friday. We have to go through there and name. The Harris County Appraisal District hasn't yet told the Harris County clerk to run the election. So at this point in time, that'll happen this week too at their board meeting, but they haven't officially told them. And I've had conversations with Roland, who is the chief appraiser, and he made a very interesting comment. Well, I don't know anything about elections, but interestingly enough, if you look at the dais that is configured today, there's 7 seats, right, for the board, and there's 2 clerks. There are 9 seats up there already. There are 9 seats up there already, okay? Now remember, this guy doesn't know anything about elections. He doesn't know anything about elections. But they have already gone through and contracted to wipe out that whole dais and build a whole brand new one so that they can accommodate the 9 board members and these 2 staff people, the chief appraiser and I guess his assistant, okay? And I'm raising my hand saying, why don't you just take them and build them? You can build them a Taj Mahal right here and they can sit there, okay? Because we have 9 seats. We already know we have 9 seats. I see them. I can count them, all right? And so just take those 2 people, move them down a little bit and build them a platform of their own. The money is they've already hired architects to come in there, start looking at, oh yeah, we have to redo the electrical because we don't need the new code. But he doesn't know how to do elections. But he sure knows how to go out there and get a contractor, and he sure knows how to go through there and figure out how we're going to design a brand new dais for these 9 board members. Just something.
With your back, with G on this primary ballot, or when will your election be up?
Oh, thank you. Carmen, I'm glad you're here. So this is May the 4th, right? May the 4th be with you. This will be May 4th, the election. It'll be combined with some of the school boards, local school board elections, some of the smaller city elections. So that'll be happening. Early voting starts April the 20th for this position. So, yeah, so May the 4th. I have to get one of those lists like you got there for early voting on there. I like that.
It's our webpage, and we're also Saturday Menudo Club on Facebook. So at this time, let's welcome Mr. Mark Gullaby.
So I started working on something called Church the Vote last year. I was a little late on it, but it was to get church members and congregations out to vote as a block on the Sunday of early voting after church. So then I kind of did a little bit more work on it, and what we came up with is dedicated days for different groups to vote. So if you're a first-time voter, you would vote on the first day of early voting. If you're a veteran, you would vote on the second day. Homeschool the vote would be the third day. Anyone that's homeschooling their children or parental school choice. And then emergency services, police, fire, EMS, emergency room personnel, those people that we count on to keep us safe would vote. And then Teach the Vote, which is near and dear to me because my wife Kimberly is a teacher. We also have Church the Vote on Sunday, February 25th. Small business votes would be Monday, February 26th. And then victims of crime, or if you have a relative that's been a crime victim, people don't realize crime is touching a lot of us because of the situation we're in. So it's an important thing to get these groups, and they say, oh, well, our vote doesn't count, or it doesn't matter. Well, actually, it can count if you go and vote in a block. And so then, if you support the Second Amendment, that would be on Wednesday, February 28th. Senior Citizens Day would be Thursday, February 29th. And the pro-life vote would be the last day of early voting, March 1st. And I did have a lot of other ideas for this, but we only had the 11 days, so we kind of had to pick and choose. But I hope I've got thousands of these, so if you want to share them, or if you want me to email them or text them, I just think it's a great idea to do what we always talk about doing, which is increasing our numbers at the polls, and this gives everybody a reason or a solution to vote. So, anyway, does anyone have any questions?
What's your March 5th day? Lazy voters, or what's that?
Well, and I thought about that, but I really wanted to keep it to early voting. Yeah, but or we forgot to vote, Yeah, and so I think what y'all are doing is great. This is only my second time to be here, and Eduardo and I are great friends, and my wife saw the picture I sent of my amigas the last time I came, so she said she would be joining me today. So anyway, thank y'all so much, and like I said, I've got plenty of these if you need them. All right, thanks.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to know and to see someone with his strength and his courage that has fought so much adversity in 2023, but all he can think about is what he can now do in 2024, even with everything that he's been dealt with. And it is very exciting to me to be able to announce that in speaking with him, we were talking about the future, and he has decided to lead an effort once he gets settled in Victoria to open to expand the Saturday Menudo Club to Victoria, Texas. So we will be moving forward in Victoria also, and of course, when they decide to have their first meeting, I will let everybody know for whoever wants to drive down to Victoria for their first meeting. And he will be joined as a partner by Miss Amber Moreno, who many of you have met because she has been here to Houston to the Menudo Club, and she has been for several years my right-hand person with SNAP, the organization that I'm vice president of. So I'm very excited, and once again, thank you, Andrew, and long live the Menudo Club, and let's conquer all of Texas. Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome a dear friend of mine that all I have to do is go to some political meeting, and I know I'm gonna get a tap on the back because it's going to be him. And you know, I just wonder what his mileage bill is, because he's everywhere. But today he's here to talk to you briefly about the Texas PAC, Mr. James Pressler.
Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing today? Hey, it's nice to be out here finally out of my prison that has been my apartment for the last 6 months. As Eduardo mentioned, I was a candidate for U.S. Congress right across the street in District 9. All the way up actively until July. I had some major health issues come along, and to be quite honest, I almost didn't make it out of 2023. I'm looking at you now, and I see the lights at the end of the window. I can't see you out here right now. I've lost my vision. I almost lost my life. I thank God for my fiance, Michelle, who's just been a godsend for me this entire time. So thank you, Michelle. But the real reason I wanted to talk to you all today is to kind of give you a story about the fight. See, in July, I spent 2 months in a hospital bed, fighting for my literal life. It got so bad to the point where I was giving my ex-wife my life insurance policy information to make sure my kids were okay. That's how close I came. To this day, I am still undergoing treatment 3 times a week. My vision is gone. I can barely walk as it is. But, I had to make a choice. Do I want to have vision, or do I want to have a life still to be able to continue that fight? I choose to fight. I don't know about y'all, I choose to fight. And I'm not looking for sympathy. That's not why I'm out here. If anything, instead of saying, I'm sorry you're going through that, help me praise God and helping me get through this so we can fight another day. Can I get an amen? Amen. Awesome. So, how am I going to fight still? Because there's still a lot of fight left in me. I just turned 44, so I'm still young. The divisiveness that has plagued this country, Republicans and Democrats. Quite frankly, since I'm out of the race now, I can be just a little bit more candid without being afraid. My fight isn't going to only be just against the Democrats, or I should say liberals. It's going to also be against the establishment rhino Republicans. Our fight is winning already. How do I know this? Nevada. Did y'all hear what happened in Nevada?
Yeah.
Nevada. Nikki Haley lost the primary election to who? Nobody. Literally, the ballot said no candidate. Because Nevadans, they stood up and they realized that there's another candidate out there that is better than a rhino Republican. I can't say that I blame them, and I can't say that I doubt them. Texas, my state, your state, our state, is going through a crisis right now at the border. Our governor has, thank you for Mr. Goldby for giving me the actual dimensions or the space that is taking place, because in Eagle Pass, he's put over Governor Abbott has put 47 acres of border wire to keep illegal immigrants from coming over. Now, that may seem like a good thing, and it is, by all means, for that 47 acres. How big is Texas?
Gazillion acres.
Gazillion acres. Absolutely. So, I get the point that he's trying to do. It's politics, plain politics, and I understand that. He's got to do something to bring sight, to bring light to what's going on. But what's the real problem? The problem isn't Mexicans coming over to Texas. Not even El Salvadorians, Hondurans. It is those coming from overseas across our Texas border. Military-aged men coming over to our borders. Now, hold that thought for a second. We have a court in Washington, D.C., a federal court, that said Donald Trump can be charged for crimes, alleged crimes, committed while he was still president. Now let's go back to Texas. Joe Biden is facilitating and choreographing efforts to allow crime to happen. The crime is illegal immigration. So since Donald Trump can be charged for an alleged crime while he's president, does that mean that Joe Biden can as well?
Yes.
Absolutely. So part of my fight that I'm doing as well is I'm petitioning our state attorney general, Ken Paxton, to file charges against Joe Biden. Because if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander, right? Does that sound like too much, you think? Well, y'all got quiet on me. So, there's a lot of talks as well about this president that we have. And I pay attention to the federal part of it because that's what I was running. I was running for a federal office. The Department of Justice also just said that he wasn't able to stand trial because why? He's too old. He's mentally is incapable of being, holding a trial, basically. So another thing I will be doing, the likes of Michael Cloud. If y'all don't know who Michael Cloud is, he was a congressional representative in District 27, my hometown of Victoria, Texas, which is also where I'm moving back to at the end of this month. So Michael Cloud, I'll be reaching out to him. I've got his personal contact number. Troy Nels. Y'all know Troy Nels, right? Matt Gaetz. Marjorie Taylor Greene's patriots that aren't afraid of the establishment. Because our fight isn't just against Democrats or liberals, it's against the establishment. Our fight is for the American people because quite honestly, if there's Republicans out there that are causing damage to the people, they need to go too.
Amen. You're here.
They need to go. the fight that y'all can do, not for me, for us. We've got Patriots running. Mark Golaby is running. Julian, is he here? No? I had the pleasure of meeting Julian, seeing what he went through. Great guy. Candidates that are out there running right now, support them. Find a candidate that stands up for true American beliefs and support them. Get out there and fight. It's more than just saying, I hope you do a good job. Good luck. Let me tell you what the Republican Party did to me. I was at a pachyderm meeting in Houston proper, trying to get a petition signed to get on the ballot. Early campaign. I can't even remember the gentleman's name, but he was really deep in the party. I chose to put his name out of my mind because I didn't want to think about him anymore. I asked him to sign my petition. He was in my district to get on the ballot. And he refused. Refused to have a candidate, a Republican candidate, get on the ballot against Al Green. Because he didn't want to think like he was endorsing. He didn't want to come off as seen as he was endorsing somebody. The previous candidate, Republican candidate for District 9, Jimmy Leone, is he here today?
He is not.
He is not, okay. Also a great guy. Love him to death. In fact, I campaigned with him and for him when he was running. The support that he got from the Republican Party was nothing. We can't rely on the party. We have to go out there and do it ourselves. If we want something done right, who has to do it? We have to do it. So, at the end of this month, I'm taking this fight to Victoria. Victoria, Texas, in case y'all don't know where that is, it's about 2.5 hours down the road, 59, 69, whatever you want to call it. Next month, I will also be relaunching my own personal podcast called The Latino Conservative. You know, the same one that got the cease and desist from our lovely Vice President Kamala Harris. I'll be relaunching that. Taking on a couple other ventures as well that I will let Mr. De Casas talk about a little bit more. But guys, I really do love each and every one of y'all. Thank you all for the support that you gave me up until, even now. Thank you for all the support that you've given me. It means so much to me. Thank you for my godson of a fiance, for all the help that she's given me. One other story. Last night, she made me get out of the house. We had to go to Walmart. Something that I used to do almost 2 or 3 times a week. And it was scary, stressful. I felt claustrophobic. At the same time, I felt like I was in a big cloud of nothing. I could still see shapes. I could still see the lights. Inside was so bright, it was hurting my eyes, but everything was in a fog. But I had to listen to her voice. Go straight. You know, I got to ride in one of the little buggies, you know. Give me some red turtle shells to start throwing out. But I was riding in the little buggy. Go straight. Turn right. Let's go here. And I could see a little bit. When we left, it's when it got really scary. Because I could see a little bit in the daytime. I could see a little bit. In the night, in the dark, nothing. Nothing except for whatever headlights are out there. I begged her to let me stay right there while she drove up. No. She would not have it. I know that eyebrow was going up, you know. I couldn't see it, but I know that eyebrow was going up. Let's go. We got work to do. Follow my voice. Trust me. I say that story because Our voice has to be heard. Our voice has to lead someone else down the good path. The Bible says faith without works is dead. The meaning of that is if we don't go out and spread the faith, it stops with us. If we don't go out and share our voice, everything that we're fighting for stops with us. We have to use our voice to help somebody go down the right path, to stand up, help them stand up for themselves as well. Help them also be a voice and not just an echo. Again, guys, I really do appreciate all the love and support that y'all have given me. All the candidates that are here right now, all the activists, advocates that are here right now, standing up for the good fight, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Attention. Mario? We're ready. Good morning, everyone. Here we are 4 days away from Valentine's Day, spreading the love and knowledge needed to get through these difficult and confusing times. We are so happy that you decided to spend your Saturday morning with us here at Ninfas. In case you wonder why I'm dressed like this, today is the Lunar New Year 2024. Happy New Year, everyone. It's the year of the dragon, so we should all walk out of here today ready to fly and breathe fire on everyone. My name is Eduardo Lopez de Casas, and I spent most of January, along with my Menudo Club co-hosts, Andy Valadez and Carmen Cavazos, meeting with local and state leaders from Governor Greg Abbott to William Teal, the mayor of Katy, Texas, staying on top of issues and advocating for our overall Hispanic community. Let me also point out that early primary voting begins on February the 20th, and Election Day is coming up on March the 5th. So what we want to know is, are you all ready? No? Okay, good. Today, we welcome some very special guests, and we will also hear from various candidates that continue in their efforts to make a positive impact on our community. The rising prices of almost everything, the many accusations of corruption in our local and state and national government, and the terrible increase in crime in many areas of our county is what is causing many citizens to want to become more informed and involved, and our Menudo Club strives to help the Hispanic community to do just that. We are here today to find ways to improve ourselves through networking and new partnerships. The one request that Carmen, Andy, and myself have of each of you here today is that you continue inviting friends to our monthly Saturday Menudo Club, and please help our club and website grow. Before we begin with our lineup of distinguished speakers, let's do a brief recap of what is happening in our community and what we need to be looking out for and paying close attention to. In case you have not been following the U.S. Postal Service problems, which equals to a total failure of the mail system, which is only growing and getting worse. What is really amazing about this issue is that no postal official seems ready to speak to the media about what is really happening. What do the people say? Ya no más. This week, the city of Houston announced that there was $1 million surplus at the water division, and all this is for a department that is in shambles, where many residents are being sent incorrect bills, which they have to pay or run the risk of having their water turned off. Unbelievably, in 2 months, all of our water bills are due for an increase. What do the people say? Ya no mas. Dangerous criminals are still getting out on no bail or extremely low bells. No, low bells. What do the people say? Ya no mas. Mayorkas was not impeached, and the border crisis remains the same and is getting worse with every moment. What do the people say? Ya no mas. It was just announced that the new mediums and crosswalks along Houston Avenue will now be removed. The new mayor wants to spend even more monies doing more research for different traffic plans in that area, as if our taxpayers' monies are just growing on trees here in Houston. What do the people say? Ya no mas. In the midst of all this madness and chaos, the Astros just announced a $125 million deal with Jose Altuve, and this is an organization that several years ago did away with live organ music at the stadium during games in preference for having recorded organ music. We're talking about one single musician that was getting pennies to play for their games, but yet they have multi-million-dollar deals going on. How do you think that the musicians in town feel? What do the people say? Ya no mas. Finally, all everyone can talk about right now is tomorrow's Super Bowl game, which will feature 2 national anthems. Talk about divisiveness. What do the people say? I know everyone is very excited to be here today, but please be kind and respectful to our speakers and try not to have conversations during their presentations. If any of you are involved with any community organizations or nonprofits, please feel free to bring and display any materials on our welcome table. Finally, I remind you that here at the Saturday Menudo Club, we respect the importance of your positions and jobs in the community, and we do not require that you silence your phones. If you get an important call, please simply step outside and have your conversation out in the corridor. Our first speaker today was a candidate last year, but unfortunately had to drop out of the race. And he is here to explain to you give an update on why he had to drop out and also what is in store for the future. So at this time, please, I'd like a big warm welcome for Andrew Alvarez. Thank you. Gracias. ¿Me traes también unos 3 or 4 lime slices?
Oh, yes, that's
One, two, three.
Ya no más!